Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. There's a story that came out today that I want to look at briefly and just bring everybody up to date with this new Swift GPI rollout. So the first fintech goes live on Swift's cross-border payment scheme. There's a company called eBay, and they are the first fintech company that will be a full and active participant on GPI, which is Swift's cross-border payment scheme. The eBay company has clients like collection agencies, charities, NGOs, insurance companies, travel companies, and they do payroll. So when we take a look at some of the details, let's have a look at what the pain points are for these cross-border services. So which type of organizations does your business currently use to manage FX payments? Well, 64% of the banks are still handling foreign exchange. And then 26.7% are specialists. They are the different types of providers that are focusing on a real kind of niche segment. And then you have financial technology companies at 12.8%. Payment service providers make up 12.8% as well. And then there are 5.8 which just don't fall in any of the above. So what are the top 3 concerns for you? This is a survey when making and receiving cross-border payments. So the purple is the banks. 32% really feel that the concern is speed of transaction. And then in the light blue, that is your specialist FX provider. And then we have the green color, which is the financial tech company. And then the next column, the concern is cost. So we've got speed of transaction and we've got cost. 50% of the banks are worried about the cost. And then the next worry or pain point is a limited payment channel. And that really 50% falls with the financial tech companies. They worry about not having enough channels. And then we have the process itself is very manual and time consuming. Well, I'm not surprised because even the GPI, if you look at their schematic, it too looks very time consuming. And then international regulatory concerns, you can see, is a concern. And then last, the practicalities such as language barriers and different time zones. Okay. This is an actual tracker demo of the Swift GPI, and it's quite interesting. So you can see here in this mock-up, they are transferring 485,000 US dollars. And when it gets to its final destination, there is $484,000, 930. Now, if we look at the originating bank, they use kind of a, this is all fictional banks here. This is a bank in Augsburg, Germany, and it jumps then over to a bank in Hamburg. That process takes 2 hours and 10 minutes. And then from there, it makes a hop to San Francisco, and that process takes another additional 2 hours and 20 minutes. And then it finally gets to its destination, which is in the City of Industry, which is a place in Southern California. And that took another 1 hour and 10 minutes. So the total duration of time to get that money from point A to point B took 11 hours and 6 minutes. Look at this. 70 US dollars was taken out of that payment. So the first bank took 20, the second bank took 10, the third bank took 30, and then the final bank took another 10. So people were just kind of skimming. I'll put this down in the comment section below. If you ever wanted to know what one of the SWIFT plans costs to implement, this is one that will show you two different plans here. So there's a one-off fee of 10,000 euro, and then there is an additional 15,000 yearly fee. So 5 years, it's going to run you somewhere around 85,000 euro. And for a little bit more of an elaborate plan, you have a 30,000 euro fee. That's a one-off payment, yearly of 40,000 euro. 5 years, you will be expected to pay out 230,000 euros. So just in case you wanted to get an idea for what the cost is typically. All right, this is from the SWIFT website, and we can see as of August 2018, 67 banks are live with more than 119 banks in the implementation phase. This is for the GPI. And you can see the global map here, and the names of the banks are on the slide. And then you have 200 plus global transaction banks that have signed up. And this will also be down in the comment section below. So when somebody is SWIFT certified, you have to sign this agreement. And it's kind of a service level agreement. I'm reading that it is a big challenge for a lot of these banks because it discourages banks from letting money sit or float. And it also discourages banks from doing opaque charging. And it really is not allowing the banks to have the flexibility to do any delay. So SWIFT is trying to force their customers, if you will, into moving the money as quickly as possible. But for some banks, this has been a real challenge. So if you want to take a look at this application and all of the points that must be adhered to, they have to comply to everything in this document. I think you might find it interesting. All right, so this was kind of fun. This is a Brad Garlinghouse tweet. He said, "Swift GPI is like putting a Ferrari shell on a Model T engine. It's a cosmetic upgrade with an old infrastructure. Messaging is still not tied to settlement." It's really key. It's unidirectional and can't solve for liquidity. So let's take a look at this. When we look at a comparison between Ripple and GPI, in terms of speed, Ripple does it in seconds. The GPI takes hours or days. In regards to fees, Ripple's are the lowest. Yes, they're disclosed with GPI now, so it's not as opaque as it used to be, but still, it's not as low. In terms of foreign exchange, the best possible solution is with Ripple, and especially when you look at using the XRP digital asset, it makes real-time value exchange anywhere in the world. So that, supporting liquidity between two currencies has zero friction. Then you have data, so full delivery, and that is planned for version 2 with the GPI. Tracking, not needed with Ripple. And yes, of course, you can do tracking here, but that sounds like a labor cost to me. And we have technology, and the Ripple ledger is absolutely phenomenal. All right, everybody. So I just wanted to really quickly look at that comparison because I think we're going to see a lot of GPI stories come out because they are pushing it quite fast and furious. But when you really do get down to looking at the details, Ripple by far is doing a better product. And when you bring in the component of the XRP digital asset, there's just no competition. All right, something in Japan here. The MUFJ Bank, I think back in April, announced they were going to do their own coin. And this is kind of an update. So the Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, one of the world's largest financial groups, it's number one in Japan, has been experimenting with using its own cryptocurrency. It's called the MUFG coin, sorry. And they're using it for payments at a convenience store for their employees. And that convenience store is located inside their Tokyo headquarters. So they are just letting the employees only use this coin, and they are tracking its progress. So it says here that they are completing their experiment, and it's quietly advancing. I know Japan very much wants to go cashless. When you look at countries like China and Sweden, which they have pretty much gotten to that point. So the cash register has been set up for payments using the MUFG coin at the stores, and employees are paying with them as they present a QR code. And they display it on their smartphone to the store clerk and at the checkout. So the MUFG will examine any issues faced by both the user and the merchant. And in addition to making payments, the coin is also being used to allow the colleagues to split bills. And also they have an incentive program, kind of a digital rewards for reducing overtime payment. And the company, the bank, wants to promote a healthy lifestyle balance. So overtime work is a real issue here in this country. People are doing it a little too much to an unhealthy level. And so they're using this coin to reward employees who don't work such high overtime hours. So they want to really bring this out on a large scale because I see that it has a commercial potential. I think the future plan is to roll it out nationwide. Crypto Crow announced not only his dates, which are for the cryptocurrency conference he wants to do, but also his location and his website. So here you go. It's called Chainwise, and it is going to focus on mass adoption. And that mass adoption is going to be, I think, a real step forward in the right direction. It looks like a beautiful space, and he's going to make it very fun. That is for sure. It's going to be different. I don't think it's going to be a sleepy conference at all. And the wonderful thing about it, he is only going to charge $20 per day. So for $40 and basically a $69 flight from just about anywhere in the US, you should be able to do it for just around $100. 23 weeks, 4 days, and 4 hours left to promote. I think you'll see this website grow. He's just started to put some of the speakers, and I don't doubt that as the plan develops, you're going to see some real surprises. All right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to his success, because if he is successful, he's going to roll out into some other cities. And I'm just sure it's going to help in bringing crypto to the masses. All right, so speaking of mass adoption, I want to talk about Japan At the time, it had to transform in the Meiji era, which took place in 1868. That was the beginning of the Meiji era. And talk about mass adoption. You know, the country overnight had to change its clothes, its politics, its society, its economy, its military, its foreign relations. It formed the Bank of Japan. It changed its school. It became mandatory. It included women. Universities were created. The samurai basically lost their status. And for the first time ever, this country drank milk. I like that little one. It was a cultural revolution, the Meiji era. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's my favorite era in all of Japan because just astonishing at the speed at which this country changed. So that was even when the Japanese common people were given last names. Before that, the Japanese people didn't even have last names. So just if you study that era, you'll be so surprised how quickly the masses adopted to more Western ways. And I want to look at one very special change in particular. I want to look at the men's hairstyle. So this was called a Chama Gay. And they would shave that portion, grow the back out, and then fold it and tie in this style here. Originally, the interesting thing, this hairstyle originally was not necessarily vanity. It was to help secure the helmet that they wore, the armor that they wore when they went to battle. So it worked kind of as a cushion and also as a means to keep the helmet in place. And then, of course, it became, I think, style as well. After the Meiji Restoration, as it's called, that took place in 1868, they call that period of time Meiji Restoration. So 1868 to 1912, to be specific. But only the sumo wrestler was able to keep that hairstyle. It was mandatory that all men remove the Chama Gay. Here is an old sepia tone photograph during the Edo period of men having their hair done by barbers. And this gentleman's having his face clean shaven. But you can see here that the men would have it done by a professional. And when we look at the Chama Gay of a sumo wrestler, it's just actually a work of art. The hair is oiled with camellia oil, the camellia flower. It has a very unique smell. And then this fanned out portion at the top is actually to symbolize the ginkgo tree leaf. So it's, I think, quite stunning. And when the sumo wrestler retires, it's kind of a sad, I find it sad, but yeah, it's sad. Usually the wrestler has a few tears to shed. This is Ashashoyu. He had to retire actually early because he got into a little bit of hot water. But this is his stable master, or oyakata. And the oyakata then does a ceremonial cutting of his hair. And it's really an emotional time for everybody. It signifies the end of a career. So anyway, that is your fluff for today. Thank you, everybody. Please take care. Talk to you soon. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.